All right. Hey.
Okay.
Unmute you guys. There we go.
Oh, that's probably a good thing.
Oh, I just
Uh,
realized I never gave you guys the order, so just trust me for
I
for the
trust you. I
first
trust you
chunk of this one.
completely.
I'm fine with it like that.
As you
Keeps us
should
on our
be.
toes. Keeps us
Yeah.
going.
Yep. That's the plan. Let me just pull something up because I forgot to be completely ready for today.
I love that mug, by the way.
You're
Absolutely love that.
You guys ready to get into it?
I'm ready to get into it.
Let's
Ready.
do it. Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
and today we're going to be continuing our journey through the best pictures for the Oscars with Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, which was nominated for a lot of things that I probably should have pulled up before the show, but we'll figure that out as we go. This is usually the part of the show where we, instead of diving into the movie that at least one of us has never seen, we talk about things in pop culture that we watched. But again, there's some breaking pop culture news that involves Disney that I figured we should talk about, because not only is it a podcast day for us, it's a very special day. Happy Ash Wednesday, guys.
Oh, wait a minute. Not today. I thought it was going to be.
Valentine's Day.
There we go.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
We all got a Valentine's card from Marvel Studios today. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but they have announced the cast for the Fantastic Four.
I did see that.
Pedro Pascal is Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. Ebon Moss Blanchard is the Thing, Ben Grimm. And then Chrissy Wake Up Joseph Quinn is the Human Torch.
Neat.
Yeah.
Guys, are you excited about the Fantastic Four?
No.
All right, I didn't know that I expected anything that like that.
So
One.
there's been a theory that the reason the Fantastic Four haven't been in the MCU at all yet is because they've been stuck in the 60s. Like they were in the 60s and then they got stuck in a time vortex, and then they're going to show up in present day. This poster that they released makes me think that that's actually going to happen now, which makes me excited.
The poster looks like it though, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm almost like Ryan, where like I'm a little bit sick of like the Fantastic Four story, but I feel like Marvel is going to probably do the thing where they understand we're all sick of the Fantastic Four story. Nobody wants to see them go up into space and then get superpowers that are roughly equivalent to what their personalities are, and then fight Doctor Doom again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Listen, if they put it in the 60s like that, that's actually an angle that I could really get behind, and I might be back on board for this movie.
Because then you can, if you do it in the 60s, you can do the original styles of those characters, like the original Marvel comic styles that you don't get to see much of. Like you get a little bit, hints of it, like with the Tom Holland Spider-Man when they brought him back into the MCU. But we haven't really seen the 60s in anything MCU yet. So we've seen the 40s, we've seen the 90s, we've gotten hints at the 80s, but nothing in the 60s, which is like where Marvel started, which could be very interesting because this is the first family. And
Is it really?
I mean, that's what they call the Fantastic Four. It's Marvel's first family. So it would make sense if you're going to do a 60s movie and market it as the first family. Like that. I think
Make
that
it first.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. To be fair, I do like the suits, like those like 60s style suits that they're wearing in that like Christmas card. Or Valentine's Day card. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Because it even the post says Happy Valentine's Day from Marvel's first family.
All right.
So if you're gonna go first family, might as well have been there the whole time. But in other Marvel news, I don't know if you guys saw there was a football game that happened this weekend.
Yes.
I didn't because I'm too far away.
I'm very. So did they just not show the Super Bowl in
No.
London?
They absolutely do. And to be fair,
Okay.
every single person that watched the Super Bowl on Monday felt the need, or watched it on Sunday, felt the need on Monday to then tell me, Devin, do you know what I did this weekend? I watched the Super Bowl. I'm like, great, I didn't. I sure don't
Yeah.
care.
Ryan, did you watch the game?
Yes, I did.
All right. It was a very boring game up until the last 20 minutes. Like when it went into overtime, I was like, okay, like here we go.
I would have to disagree on the boringness because that game started out differently than I was expecting. So to me, I was drawn in all the way through. But then again,
It wasn't as exciting as I've seen Super Bowls in the past. Like I wasn't invested until the very end.
I have a new way of watching the Super Bowl because, as far as I'm concerned, the Bears are never going to make it in the next 25 years. Because I could rant, but I'm not. I will always root for the team from now on in the Super Bowl. I am always going to root for the team that I know will piss off the most people if they win. So that's the team I'm going to root for now on. And so this year was the Chiefs. So
Yeah.
I was all in because I knew that it was going to make a bunch of people mad, and I wanted it to happen.
So when you sit down to watch the Super Bowl and you have to choose a team, what you're saying is you have a blank space.
Yeah, a blank space, and I will fill in the name. Fill in the name.
Well
Perfect.
done. Look at that.
Well, one of the things that I wasn't bored by at the Super Bowl was the movie trailers, the commercials. There were a lot of good commercials, like a good neighbor. There's some very like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were in a Dunkin' commercial. Oh, Devin, you're gonna love this commercial. I kid you not. Matt Damon turns to Jennifer Lopez and says, "How do you like them donuts?" I'm so sorry. Like that's
I really like that.
Because he's definitely not his character is not into what's going on.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck
cool.
is yeah.
But the other thing that happens during the Super Bowl is movie trailers debut. And since we just a few minutes ago we were talking about Marvel, the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer dropped. What did you guys think of this trailer? We pulled 3 trailers to talk about, and I think each of us has different perspectives on each of them. So the one I picked for me was Deadpool and Wolverine because I want to hear what you guys think of this movie trailer.
Ryan, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to wait to watch this until I can stream it. I like Deadpool. I like Ryan Reynolds. I cannot wait to see Wolverine again. From as far as I'm concerned, who Wolverine is. But I'm a little disappointed, personally, at the fact that they're doing what I didn't want them to do to begin with, and that's incorporate heavily from the shows into the movies. And that's what it seems like. I could be completely wrong.
Or with the TVA?
Like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because with the TVA, I'm fine with the little jokes that Deadpool was doing, about it. That's fine. It's just you weren't supposed to have to watch the shows to fully understand what's going on in the movies.
I don't think I think it's a bit of a different angle on the TVA, especially with who's in charge. But yeah, okay. I don't think you're gonna have to watch Loki to understand what's happening with all that stuff. I'm sure they'll explain it.
Yeah. Just on the surface, that was my reaction.
Devin, what do you think?
I'm gonna see this opening night, if not opening day. I like Deadpool 2 more than anyone else did. I'm going to rewatch all of those movies before I see this one. I'm gonna buy the popcorn bucket, whatever it looks like. I'm so excited, guys.
I am too. This, a lot of people compared this to Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is fair, but there's so much more history. There are so many more things to pull from for the X-Men movies because it's not just Wolverine that they're pulling in. Pyro from the original X-Men trilogy is in there.
Yeah.
Other people are coming in that aren't in the trailer that I know about.
How do you know about these?
Oh, the press releases. I don't know who Jennifer Garner's agent is, but they let something slip that they probably shouldn't have.
Holy cow, Jennifer Garner, that's cool.
Yeah. From the Ben Affleck Daredevil. So,
Yeah, man, if they could get Ben Affleck, I loved the Ben Affleck Daredevil. All right, I'm like one of the few people that have very fond memories of that movie.
I never really saw the problem with it.
Nah, I liked it. I watched the director's commentary and everything.
I have the director's cut on Blu-ray, so I'm gonna have to watch that. I think over on Brilliant but Lazy, Josh is actually we're gonna go through and watch a bunch of the Fox movies leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Man, wait till Evanescence hits, man.
Oh yeah,
just best part of that whole movie.
Yeah. So yeah, Deadpool Wolverine trailer came out. There was also, Ryan, I don't message you a lot during things like this, but I messaged you, hey, the Twisters trailer's out.
Yeah. I was watching the game, and one thing, did they do this last year where like they do like a little teaser and then they're like, it's released, and then you have to like go
full trailer online?
Yeah.
I think they started to do that last year. I think they really leaned into that more this year.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't a huge fan of, just considering the way I was watching it. Like I had to like close out the app and then AirPlay it from my phone. Like was. Yeah,
I was miffed about that myself. When I first found out that Twisters was going to be a thing, there's no chance that I was ever going to take this movie seriously. So the fact that the trailer looks the way it does, I'm going to go to the movie theater and sneak in food to watch this movie. That's my level of I don't care how bad this movie is. I'm going to go see it. Like I will sneak in food to see this movie.
That's about where I am because I have to go see Madam Web on Friday. So
I'm seeing it on Saturday.
Oh man, we watched. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be incredible.
Actually, you know what? We'll talk about this later. You want to? Yeah, want to join a Brilliant but Lazy this week?
I do.
Okay,
100%.
All right, we'll work it out.
But yeah, Twisters looks silly and stupid, and that's the only way that I could ever see a sequel to Twisters happening, because like the science behind tornadoes has advanced so much since the first movie came out that like, okay, cool, they're going to try to stop tornadoes. That's complete science fiction. I'm fine with it. That's complete science.
I mean, because what else are you going to do? Like, there's no real reason to drive a car into a tornado anymore when you have, like, cameras that'll watch anything.
There are still storm chasers out there because they want to get, like, film, like, inside a tornado, which I think it's been done for, like, a one IMAX movie where this dude made, like, a tank out of a pickup truck in, like, 2010 or 11 and, like, actually, like, got film inside a tornado, like, what that looks like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are still storm chasers out there because it's the best way to track a tornado is to have people on the ground following these storms. So the premise is still plausible, you know, the whole, like, storm chasers and everything. It's the whole idea of, like, what they're trying to do. And I saw a bunch of callbacks in this one. So I don't know if, like, they're related to the original characters, if this is, like, a completely different set of storm chasers and they're just doing like silly callbacks throughout the movie randomly. I'll find out when I'm watching a movie that I really don't care about other than the fact that I want to be entertained. Entertain me. That's
I just know the week that we watch this or the week this comes out, you're going to make us watch the original, which I know has been on the radar for a while now. So
wait, who hasn't watched the original? Get out of here.
It's been years since I've seen it, if I did. I've seen bits and pieces.
Incredible.
Like, I know who's in it. I know most of the people who are in it can't be in the new one because they're no longer with us. But here's hoping Helen Hunt shows up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then Devin, I don't know if you actually have any opinions on this or not, but I pulled Wicked for you.
Yes, man. I am the guy to talk about Wicked. I just saw it less than a year ago in West End. I had some serious reservations about it coming to the big screen just because sometimes movie musicals don't always work. But I was really impressed with what I've seen in the trailer.
Okay.
I like that they showed some of the Defying Gravity scene. I don't know that I love that it's going to be split in 2 parts. That part's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, and they're doing that weird thing with they kind of don't really hint that this is a musical in the trailer, but they really don't lay into the fact that this is part 1 of 2.
Yeah, it almost, in terms of the musical, it almost feels like Wonka.
Yeah,
like they're kind of not focusing on the musical part of it, which I guess might be the new tactic to get butts in seats and then be like, surprise, a musical if you didn't know that, which is a shame.
So because I'm in this corner of TikTok, I get like the trailer breakdowns for things and people like asking like, wait, why is this in the trailer? Like people talking about things about the Deadpool Wolverine trailer. I saw one for this where they're like, okay, why is Dorothy in this?
Oh, Dorothy's in the play.
Is she?
Or the musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she is forever like just stage left of what's happening. Like
Okay.
at one point they're like, that little girl, grr.
Okay.
And then like at one point they're like, the little girl is down there, and that's like all they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen it too, Ryan?
I have gotten a dissertation level description from someone who read Wicked.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, I don't remember about 50% of it, but I know enough about it to be really interested in this.
The fact that Jeff Goldblum's the wizard, incredible.
Ah,
I mean,
yes.
pitch perfect casting. Just like, I can't even imagine. Like, he has such good parts in the musical, and Jeff Goldblum's just gonna kill it.
Speaking of, he was at the Super Bowl and gave a tremendous reaction when he was on the Jumbotron.
Is that what he did? Did he give a heart?
Yeah, but not
I
just
didn't do it with
that.
my
Like,
hands.
he stood up and he was really excited and he was like waving to people and acting like it was the greatest thing on earth for him to be on the Jumbotron. It was great.
Yeah.
What a gem of a
There were some great moments on the Jumbotron that were shared. Like that was a good one. Taylor Swift looking at the Jumbotron, seeing herself, and then downing her drink was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then
DiCaprio being caught with the white nose.
Yeah.
Yep. I heard about that.
Yeah. And then Devin, have you seen the SpongeBob stuff from the Super Bowl?
I have.
Okay.
I love the fact that they like overlaid, like, you can tell that they were like, look, we're doing this for the SpongeBob audience. We're doing this for the people that are roughly just turning 30. They need it. But also there are hardcore sports fans that are going to be mad that there's SpongeBob in their Super Bowl. So they had to like make jellyfish erupt behind some of the players in the opening bit. And like, that's so silly.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, that was all for kids. That was like Nickelodeon's like kid thing. They've been doing this all season.
Have they really?
Yeah, so like later on in the week after the games are played, Nickelodeon has like a kids like, hey, this is what happened this past weekend in the NFL, and they do the highlights, and they have like SpongeBob and Patrick and other Nickelodeon cartoon characters narrate the games, and they do all of the effects and everything. I think they've done a live game a few other times, but yeah, like this isn't something new. Like this is something that they've done in the past.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to make a joke, but I'm not going to. Remind me after the show. I have a Nickelodeon joke. Yeah. Yeah. So more exciting movies coming out this year than I'm excited for Wicked, surprisingly. Like I'll probably read the book. I won't go see the play, but I'll read the book.
Did you guys see any of the other trailers? Because I saw there was also Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. There was Knuckles.
I saw the Knuckles trailer. That's a TV show. I haven't seen Sonic
a TV
2
show?
yet. Yeah.
On
Paramount. I saw the teaser for Planet of the Apes. I don't seek out trailers unless they're teasers, and I know the Planet of the Apes one wasn't just the teaser; it was like the actual trailer. I'm like, I don't need to see that.
So this one actually interested me into one of these modern movies because, as you guys know, I have shunned those movies, but this one's actually interesting to me, and I think it's because the CGI is 1,000 times better. It's more advanced.
Wait, have you shunned all of the new Planet of the Apes movies?
I have seen half of what the first one was.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
See,
guess what we're watching soon?
No. And I've said this before, and you guys have forgotten. I am very finicky when it comes to monkeys in movies.
Oh, then you know we're really gonna watch. Dunstan checks in.
That's one of the ones I'm good with.
All right. Well, on that note, how do we go from Dunstan checks in to Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer?
Like this.
Yeah. So today we're.
You just stared into the camera. You just stared into the camera.
Einstein's just walking away like devastated right now. So today we're talking about the Heimer half of Barbenheimer. We're talking about Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, starring Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Matthew Damon, and Florence Pugh. Because those are the names that made the poster. This movie came out in July last year and is nominated for a bunch of Oscars. Let's talk about what it was nominated for. This is a film that I saw, which I think we're gonna get into my experience Barbenheimer weekend today, guys.
Oh, good.
Because we haven't really talked about it in detail on the show, and we're not going to go into too much detail today. But you know what? We're gonna talk about my Barbenheimer weekend because it's about time.
Okay.
But why won't that link work? Come on, there we go. It's nominated for Best Picture. It's not loading. Why is it not loading? Anyway, I saw Oppenheimer opening weekend, or the after opening weekend. I didn't get a chance to go to the theaters opening weekend because I was sick. I was in the hospital.
Right.
So everyone's posting about Barbenheimer, and I was sick. I couldn't go.
Ooh.
I was in the ICU. So I missed out on the Barbenheimer weekend. But as soon as I got out of the hospital, I was like, I'm going to see Oppenheimer. We're going to IMAX. This is going to be great. I did not buy IMAX tickets. I thought I did. I realized when I got to the theater, because we moved. We were in the middle of moving. It was a new theater for us. Did not get IMAX tickets, but got to see Oppenheimer opening weekend in reclining seats. Because if I was not sitting in a recliner for this, it would have been torture. Because it's so long. But Oscar-wise, it finally loaded. Oppenheimer was nominated for Best Achievement in Costume Design, Best Achievement in Production Design, Achievement in Film Editing, Achievement in Cinematography, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role with Emily Blunt. Actor was Robert Downey Jr. Should have said that. Actor in a Leading Role for Cillian Murphy. Achievement in Directing, Christopher Nolan. Best Sound, and two more. Achievement in Music for Motion Pictures, Original Score, Ludwig Johansson, and Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling.
That is a lot. That's like most of the categories.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is that like everything it could have been nominated for? Like, it's not going to make Best Animated Short Film, but like
it's a lot. It's 13 nominations, so it's up there. I think the only thing they didn't get nominated for was lead actress, acting wise at least.
Who would have been? Because if Emily Blunt was nominated, who would have lead actress have been in this? No one, right?
Yeah, there isn't really a lead actress. It's supporting actress. So,
I just realized that.
So, I saw this in theaters. You guys had not. You guys have both seen Barbie, though, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Good. So, you guys got to watch this at home. I'm curious, what did you guys think of your Oppenheimer viewing experience at home? What did you think of the movie?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. Devin doesn't want to go first today.
No, I don't.
So I watched this with headphones on. the ones that I'm wearing right now. Simply because it was a 3-hour-long movie. I didn't start this until like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and my wife had to go to bed. So I'm like, I'm not going to play the sound game with my remote for 3 hours. And it was amazing. I'm not going to lie. This movie brought back out the History Channel, Discovery Channel obsessed preteen I was in middle school. I can't tell you guys how many like Manhattan Project documentaries I saw on those channels growing up. And this movie has only made me like Murphy more than I did before as an actor. And also Robert Downey Jr. But yeah, like I had most of the lights off. I was wearing headphones, so like I feel like I got a pretty good experience, except for bass. I didn't feel anything because, you know.
Oh, right.
You know, that. But the sound, but it was head over heels better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Devin, what did you think?
Overall, I really like the movie. There are a few things that I wish it had done differently in terms of like character and pacing, but I really liked I liked the story that it told. I think this is probably the best way that you can tell this story, and I really love Ryan's comparison of like it being like an elevated History Channel thing. I think he's really, really good. I mean, you know, it's a Nolan movie, right? He has some of the weirdest, most unexpected shots, I think, in this, like more so than I think I've seen in any other Nolan movie. And of course, it can't be a very simple, like, you know, pacing. Like, things don't flow chronologically in the movie, and I actually like that because it helped keep me interested. As far as my viewing experience, it was just on my TV in my living room. I don't know that I could have. I can't hum a tune from it, which is probably to my detriment. And I can imagine there are parts of this movie that just hit so much better in a theater.
Oh yeah,
but they still hit well. Like when I saw them, they hit well. But I wish I could have like felt some of that.
I remember in our theater experience, my wife and I were both like, "That was loud. Like that was very loud." And it wasn't even the bomb part. It was just like that was just a loud movie. Like why is everyone yelling?
I was gonna say it wasn't just the part that I thought it would be. Like the whole thing was loud.
The whole thing was loud.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it might have been the theater that we were in, like just having it not cranked up right. But what I like about this movie, it's kind of a return to form for Nolan's formatting of a story, where you're going to have one timeline going, and then we're going to do some flashbacks and intercut them. Kind of just what he does with Batman Begins and The Prestige, like the Nolan films that I like. Because not to say that I don't like Nolan films. There are some that I like better, and this one, like format wise, this one goes back to those roots that I really enjoy from Nolan because it plays with time, but it's still straightforward in what it's doing. It doesn't really like you don't have half of the story going forward, the other half going backwards. It's not too complicated. And it even lays it out for you with the fusion and fission. Subtitles at the front. It's that style where we have story A and story B, and we're gonna intermix those with some other stuff. But you have these two storylines, and they're separated by color. Like you have the black and white stuff with Robert Downey Jr., and then the color stuff with Oppenheimer. It's a great way to differentiate the story to let you know what's happening when. And I really enjoy that from a Nolan movie. I love what Nolan does with time when he doesn't make it too complicated. And when you can understand what's going on dialogue wise.
Well, I mean, I thought the movie, like audio wise, was mixed really well this time. I could understand everyone. But to your point about the two storylines, there's a scene specifically that is shown from two perspectives. And I thought that was incredible. It was the scene where they're all sitting around the round table and Robert Downey Jr. has to move the plane out of the way.
Yeah.
You get it first from Robert Downey Jr.'s perspective, but then you get it from Oppenheimer's, and it's in color, and it like literally made me go, whoa. Like it's such a simple little thing, but it was so effective.
Yeah. How much do you guys know? How much did you guys know of the history of all this? Like Ryan, you said you were a big history buff in high school. So did you know most of this?
I knew very basics about Oppenheimer himself. Okay. I knew the whole like father of the bomb thing, his role is at the Manhattan Project, and that there was a dust up between him and some people in government. That's all I could have told you before watching this movie.
Devin, how about you?
I just Googled it. For the majority of my life, had mixed up the Manhattan Project and something called the Philadelphia Experiment.
Oh, God. Devin, are you serious?
Yeah, man.
You're taking a real historical event that basically ushered in a new era of human history. Yeah. And a like level C conspiracy theory.
Okay, so let me tell you about the kind of History Channel stuff Devin was watching as a kid, because it certainly wasn't World War II historical fiction or historical nonfiction. It was, I'm gonna watch the ghost stuff and I'm gonna watch the Travel Channel conspiracy theory videos. That was what Devin was raised on a steady diet of. I knew that we dropped bombs in the middle of the desert forever, and then one of them happened off of a coast of somewhere and we got a picture of it in the ocean. That's really all I know. So I learned a lot in this movie. And then one time when they said, "Oh, it's the Manhattan Project," I go, "Oh, that's what that is." Okay. So I'm coming at it way left field here. This is a huge gap in my knowledge.
Ryan, at least he didn't say he got the Manhattan Project confused with the Alan Parsons Project.
There's also that. I also have to check myself here. Devin, I do.
Yes.
Because like I've mentioned before to you guys 1,000 times, both sides of my family are originally from Chicago. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the whole thing about how part of the Manhattan Project happened in Chicago under a unused football field was something that I learned at a very, very early age, back when I learned what the Manhattan Project originally was. And I was talking to my dad about it, and he's like, "Well, you know that, Chicago could have been destroyed during that process." And I'm like, "How? They're in New Mexico. How could Chicago be destroyed?" And that's when he brought up the whole thing about like half of the, part of the project was done under this university's football field that apparently wasn't far away from someone in my family. But yeah, so I mean, I have other experience with this part of history other than just watching History Channel. Like I've got like family stories tied into it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, for me, it was, 3 Mile Island was probably the extent of what I knew about nuclear anything, because we lived relatively close to it.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the other movies that we've talked about for Best Picture this year, because we've all watched a few of them now, was there anything that stood out to you guys as different about Oppenheimer? Like style-wise or cinematography or sound?
The big thing for me that's a difference, and I think this is just a matter of personal opinion, is I feel like I got to know the characters less in this than I did any of the other ones, because I feel like all of the ones I've watched so far were in essence just character studies. I mean, Poor Things just follows Emma Stone around. The Holdovers is get to know these characters. This one, I watched Oppenheimer throughout his life. I still don't feel like I really know him that well, and I don't feel like I know many other people that were brought up in this story.
So one of the interesting things that has to deal with that is there's a lot of people in this movie that you recognize.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was an intentional choice, because there are so many people, so many moving pieces to this, and so many different people coming in and out of the story. They wanted people to see familiar faces and be like, "Oh, Josh Peck is the one who has the key to the bomb," or Jack Quaid is the one who's going to be playing the bongos. So that's why they brought in so many familiar faces. Yeah. So you can be like, "Oh yeah, that scene with Casey Affleck," or like that, all that kind of stuff. Oh, Rami Malek comes in. Like, that's why they did that, because this is telling the story. Like, it's telling the actual story, and like all the bits and pieces that we know, like all of the congressional hearing stuff and all of that. Like, there's a paper trail for that, so a lot of it checks out. So it's telling the history of that, but I think everything that happens is also, you don't get to know Oppenheimer that well as a character, but you do get to see his reaction to what he created and what happened. I think that's the important thing. I think that's the message of what the story is trying to tell, is he helped create this weapon. And there were people telling him beforehand that we need to stop this before it gets used. And, we're not going to use it. Like, it's going to be a deterrent. And then once it's handed off to the into military hands, he starts to panic and it's like, or did they use it? Did they use it? And then he has to deal with the repercussions of that. And then that's what a lot of the Robert Downey Jr. stuff deals with, is him dealing with the repercussions of knowing he was responsible for these weapons of mass destruction.
I really liked how the movie framed it, actually, where it never glorified what they were doing. It never, I mean, it made you believe that these were people doing something very, very scientifically cutting edge, something very difficult, and that these people did celebrate when the bomb went off because our hard work paid off. But it was very clear that that's why they were celebrating. Nobody, and at no point was that I think that anybody was like, yay, nukes. Like, at any point, everyone was like, oh, thank God we did the thing we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
There's a small moment in here as the announcement's being played over the radio, and they're in the hallway of the lab. And I think it's Jack Quaid is standing there in the hallway looking at somebody across from him, like, mortified.
Yeah.
But then, like, after a beat, they just shake each other's hands like, we did it. Like, it's mortified, but it worked. Like, it's such a mixed bag of emotion. And I think it just handles that very well.
Yeah, and the whole thing with, I have trouble pronouncing his last name, so I'm just going to call him Opie, like the rest of his friends did.
Yeah.
I loved how they showed emotional stress and tension. Because with the headphones, I was able to clearly hear when he was having basically anxiety attacks. When certain things would come up and you would hear noise. Like, there'd be times where they would be questioning him during his deposition, and you would get the roar noise in the background, and then like halfway through the movie you find out where that roar comes from. It's from everybody smashing their feet up against like stands and stuff. So I absolutely loved all of that. I feel like you got to know enough about the character, about him, to understand his paradoxical feelings. Like, at the very beginning, he talks about how, like, is light like a wave, or is it like a solid or like an atom? And he's like, it's like, it's both. But it's like, but it can't be both. But it is. Like, he's feeling proud at the fact that they were able to prove theory correct. But at the same time, it's like, it was dropped on people. So he's having Alan, exactly like you said, like in that hallway, Quaid's there and he looks mortified, but then the guy across the hallway shakes his hand, and even beyond that, when they're on the base, you can see all of the military personnel are going absolutely nuts. Like, we dropped it, it worked. And all of the scientists are like, yay, it worked. But that's it. They're just satisfied about their work, working, but they're not as happy about it as the soldiers are.
Yeah.
So here's where the level of depth in the character, like, I think actually was a detriment to me, because up until a lot of what we had seen, I knew him enough, right? I knew the contradiction, I knew it all. Where there was the deposition to get rid of his security clearance.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really big turning point for him, that they spend a good amount of time using that both as the framing device, and you watch him talk about that. It's a big moment. I think what didn't work for me there was I didn't feel the same kind of tension that I think I was supposed to feel there, because that doesn't feel, and maybe because I'm a civilian, right? I didn't feel like a lot was at stake. I feel like his government work was at stake at that point, but the movie had already said that people are going to start to abandon you after this anyway because you're the guy with the nuke. So I feel like he didn't have a long career in government anyway, and it was hard for me to be like, oh my gosh, his security clearance, the one thing he cares about in this world, ripped away.
The one thing you have to understand about him, I did, as soon as I got done watching this movie, I watched a 45-minute documentary on him.
Was it also on Amazon?
Yes, and it was like a $3
Yeah, I know the one.
Okay. Did you see it?
No.
Okay. So one thing I didn't realize was that when he lost his security clearance, he lost codes to be able to access certain things. He was not able to function in the field of study that he had been for like 15 years up at that point. After that, he lost that security clearance. So his direct focus as a scientist literally ended when he lost it. So it wasn't just that it wasn't him, being able to like help the government. It was his field of study that he was losing. So and that's what, and again, thinking back about the movie, I think that's why they made his wife so angry and so so mad about the whole thing, because like she even says, if this happens, we're gonna lose the house.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I feel like there should have been, again, it's a 3-hour long movie. I don't want to add anything to this because I don't really think anything can be taken out. And I don't, and I'm not the one to say that on this. I'm usually the one that says, I wish this was 45 minutes shorter. No, I like this exactly the way it is. And I hate saying that we need to add more to a 3-hour movie, but I really feel like there should have been a little bit more context to like maybe just a little, just a little throwaway line. Like, it's like, your career is over if you don't get this, right?
Yeah.
Like something like that, which is not said.
Yeah. You're right that the house thing is, though. And I just didn't hone in on that as much.
Yeah. I think it does a good job of showing how much more concerned she is about it than he is. Because I think he goes into it cocky thinking that it's not gonna go through. Like he's going to be fine. And then he's not. Ryan, you talked a bit about not wanting to cut anything from this film.
Yeah.
Devin, do you agree? Is there anything in here that you feel is out of place and doesn't belong in this? Because I have. Okay. What is yours? What is yours?
I would get rid of the probably worst Dutch ever put to film. So in the beginning, there's this scene that talks about how brilliant he is, and he's giving a lecture in Leiden, and in the Netherlands, and someone turns to their Dutch colleague, goes, "Let me know if you need help with the English," and then he stands up, and the thing that you're supposed to get is he's so brilliant he learned Dutch for this speech. The delivery of Dutch is with such a thick German accent. And I actually did the research on this bit of it, that most Dutch people can't actually understand the Dutch words that he's saying because his German accent is so thick doing it.
Yeah.
You only have that opinion because you're dating someone from Europe.
Of course.
I guarantee you that if you wouldn't be, you would be sitting where I am and going, that's a funny scene. That joke paid off.
Yeah.
Well, it was because I went, it's funny. He's speaking Dutch. And Romana goes, no, he's not. I go, yeah, he is. I recognized a word. She goes, that's not Dutch. And we had to replay the scene 3 times to get that it was in fact Dutch.
Well, I mean, he was in Germany. So if he's going to learn Dutch in Germany, it's going to be with the German accent.
What's funny is as soon as I asked you the question, Devin, Romana commented in the chat, the Dutch scene.
Yeah. Thanks, Romana.
So for me, like one of the things that I've been talking about since I saw this in July was there's something in this that you don't usually see in Nolan movies, and that's the nudity. Like Florence Pugh is naked a lot in this.
Yes.
And it doesn't really add much. They had to the scene with them sitting awkwardly in the chairs was censored in other countries because it's just, why is it there? It feels weird in a Nolan movie. I get what they're doing. I understand what they're doing with that character. I just think it could have been a little bit more fleshed out than it is, because you guys understand the purpose of including that storyline in this, because there's a blink and you miss it moment that happens in this.
The hands on the back of the head.
The hands on the back of the head during her death scene. Did you catch this, Devin?
I certainly did not.
In the scene where they show her committing suicide, there's a flash of a gloved hand holding her head underwater, implying that possibly the government was behind it and she didn't actually off herself.
How did I miss this?
Because it was like a second and a half.
It's a split
Wow.
second.
Yeah.
Which
That's
I think
incredible.
is like, if you miss that, a lot of that storyline doesn't make sense. But what it does when you do catch it is show you, like Matt Damon makes jokes like, oh, we'll just have him killed. It shows you that he's kind of serious about that. Like they'll do anything to keep him in line and under control, even going as far as to offing his mistress, so he stays the line and doesn't sleep with communists. So
my take on that was a little different. Granted, there was that thing with like him saying like, we'll kill him. I took it as it was that crazed anti-communist soldier or commander that that trapped him in the interview. And Matt Damon's character tells, Opie how crazed he is and why he is the way that he is.
Yeah.
And so I would not be surprised if Matt Damon's character didn't know that happened, but I would not be surprised if the government was like, hey, you like doing stuff like this. Here's the key to her room.
I think it's so interesting that you don't know what happens. It could be any of the three. She could have killed herself. It could have been the government. It could have been Casey Affleck. It's character, not actually Casey Affleck. But yeah, like that, because that's been the biggest gripe with this film is, why is Florence Pugh naked?
Okay, so the one thing that I will say, and it was a thought that I had when I was watching, it was after that scene where they're both sitting in chairs. They could have very, very, very easily had her have a blanket draped over her or something, or like just something across her chest, something. But at the same time, the only defense, and I'm not defending it, I'm not saying that it should have been in there, that I liked it, that, oh, it was great. No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just in defense of the choice that was made.
Yeah.
Possibly. This is a defense. It shows how raw her character is with him, that like she is unbearing herself completely in front of him at that moment, like physically, emotionally, mentally. And then he says, yeah, I'm not going to be around for you anymore. I know I said I would be, but that's done.
I think the one time that it worked for me really well too was that when they're at the deposition, like to get rid of it, to get rid of his security clearance, they talk about his relationship with her, and she appears on him, and you almost see that scene through Emily Blunt's eyes. Like one of the shots is from her eyes. And I thought that was incredibly effective, because it's almost her picturing it and showing how raw that still is for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that is all her. Like, even though there is that one scene from her point of view, I feel the way that I interpret that was as the camera's panning across the room from behind the members that are questioning him and the prosecutor, they bring up her character. And before he, like, as he's talking about it, the camera goes with him being fully clothed to him sitting naked in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the dude feels like he's naked because he's talking about something that, like, his anxiety is going up. He doesn't want to be talking about this problem. His wife is sitting right behind him, even though they had talked about it prior. Like, they make that a point make that something to point out that, like, they do talk about it prior, and then, so you get the way he's feeling about this conversation, and then you get when she shows up on him, you're like, that's how she feels about that conversation.
Yeah.
That had to have been one of my top 5 moments of this movie.
Yeah. I thought it was a really good scene. It was effective.
What was your favorite scene, Devin?
Oh, boy. My favorite scene is when you learn what Einstein and Oppenheimer were talking about just after the guy goes to Robert Downey Jr. What if it had nothing to do with you? What if they were talking about something important? I felt that. I love that so much.
Oh, that's such a great moment. We haven't really talked about Robert Downey Jr. at all.
He's so good in this too.
He's my pick right now for best supporting actor, especially after watching this again. I had read something or heard something when the movie came out about their relationship in this was compared to another film, and I completely forgot about it until I watched the movie. And then there's that moment where you find out that Strauss is the one behind everything. And I was like, oh yeah, Amadeus. That's right. That's the connection here. This is Amadeus and Scolari. Like, that's what this is.
Oh, incredible.
And so when you have that reveal of he was the one who was getting his clearances revoked behind the scenes, like, that's like every week. Knowing the film, knowing that twist going into the film the second time, it does what that Nolan thing, the Nolan thing, where you like, what happens later, and everything else in context of that makes so much more sense. Yeah. So knowing that he's the one pulling the strings, the man behind the curtain, like, that makes that reveal still hit just as hard, because he was the one behind, like, manipulating everything. So so Oppenheimer lost everything.
Yeah. One of the things that this was one of the few times where it's like, I'm watching the movie, it's about like an hour into it, and they're doing one of, like, the first scenes in the room where, like, Strauss is talking to his, like, 2, like, political people, and, like, describing the whole thing about the file. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm willing to bet he gave him the file. I'm willing to bet that. And then when they go to the scene of, like, that lieutenant that Matt Damon's always picks on at the beginning, like, giving the file and stuff to the guy that actually, like, submits everything.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, and they're going to bring this scene back, and it's going to either morph into someone, or they're going to replay this scene with the actual person that gave it to him. I was not expecting him to be sitting off to the side. Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah. Watching the scenes at the Capitol with Robert Downey Jr. and his 2 associates is weird, because I recognize the one as Han Solo from Solo, Alden Ehrenreich. The other one I didn't recognize, and it's weird watching it now because I know he's in it. It's Scott Grimes, who plays the dad on the Ted series.
Oh.
Which, if you've seen any of the clips from Ted, that's enough to make those scenes in Oppenheimer different. Was there anyone in this movie like, oh, they're in this? Like, I didn't know that they were in this. Was there anyone who caught you off guard just by watching it?
Freddie Mercury.
Okay. Rami Malek, yeah. Okay.
Rami Malek, there you go. I forgot his name for a second.
Yeah.
And Devin's blue hair is distracting me.
Oh, it is blue now. Nice.
It looks really blue. Like
it does look really blue. I don't know why.
I need to say something because it looks dyed. Like your lights are playing with your hair color.
Going for a new look. For me, it was Kenneth Branagh.
Okay.
I had no idea he was in it. Love it.
There are people in this where I'm like, I know who that is now. Like I remember walking out of the movie like, that was that person, and then I watched it again yesterday. Like, okay, I know who that is. Who is it again? Do you guys know who played Lawrence, like the other professor at Berkeley?
No.
Don't look it. Don't look it up.
He looked familiar, but I couldn't.
Josh Hartnett.
What?
That was Josh Hartnett.
He was in Pearl.
He was in Pearl Harbor.
Ah, okay.
He was in 40 Days and 40 Nights because it's Lent. I got to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he acting again?
He's been acting. Yeah, I just didn't expect him in this.
Weird.
Because I kept looking at him like, why is Aaron Sorkin in this? Because he's got the very Aaron Sorkin hairline. Josh Peck is always a nice surprise in this. We mentioned Jack Quaid before. Yeah. Josh Hartnett is the one that throws me still. That's incredible.
I didn't recognize him. He's older, sure. But
yeah.
Our little boy grew up.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we want to talk about with Oppenheimer?
Well, my favorite scene is the one where he has to talk to the. No, it's okay. It's okay. My favorite scene is when he is reluctantly giving a speech to the people, to like the townspeople.
Yeah.
At the Manhattan Project, when he's like doing his like, okay, what do I say now? Like, we did it, and everyone cheers. And like that whole setup from when like his wife is like fixing his tie to when like they show him finally like outside, and like all of the distorted screaming, like him envisioning victims of what the bomb might sound like and look like that whole thing, like that is my favorite scene of the movie.
For me, you guys picked two good ones. For me, I think my favorite is the bomb, like the test, because the film does such a good job of building tension for the first 2 hours.
But it does, though.
It takes 2 hours to get to that point, and it's so tense the whole way through that, like, if you can take a break, it's okay to take a break. Like it's so intense, and it builds to it so well, because once you get to that scene, it's a nuclear bomb. You're expecting the bang, the big boom, and instead you get silence for a solid minute, 2 minutes. Like, it's just silent, and you just see the light, and then you get the sonic boom, and it's so well done. And an actual explosion. Like, it wasn't all CG.
What?
They blew up. They did not set off a nuclear bomb, but they lit up like gasoline and a whole bunch of stuff to make a giant fireball. And then the mushroom cloud was CG, but Nolan loves practical effects. So if he can, I think if they would have let him set off a nuclear bomb, he might have.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. One thing about that I really liked was that they showed the actual the speed of sound compared to the light, because they show like each point. You got them in the bunker. You've got people five. You've got people 20 miles away. Then you got people like 5 miles away. I think it was
5 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and then you have them in the bunker, and they showed it's like the shockwave and then the sound, and like how different that was for like each person. I was fully expecting that one guy to go blind. When they were handing out the welder's glass, and the soldier goes here, and he goes, "Oh no, the glass it takes care of the UV light rays," and I'm like, dude, this is a nuclear bomb. UV has not. I mean, UV probably has something to do with it, but it's going to be bright, and you're going to need that. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what.
All right, so we've seen a few Best Pictures now, Best Picture nominees. Where does this rank for you guys? Do you think anything can beat this as of right now or not?
For Best Picture?
Yes.
I would say for me, this is tied with The Holdovers.
Okay.
I think this is a second to me for Holdovers.
Okay. You still think Holdovers is Best Picture?
For me, I think so.
Okay.
What about you?
For me, Holdovers is great. And I think Giamatti's going to win for performance over Cillian Murphy, because Cillian Murphy pretty much just wears a hat and stares off in the distance.
Yeah.
I think there if you're looking at all the aspects of everything that goes into this, the performances, the cinematography, the music, everything delivers. There's so much that works well in this. It's hard to beat it. The direction, it's top of the list for me right now. And I still have about half of the Best Pictures to watch. So, but right now, this is probably my top choice for Best Picture. That's at least. And
What's
I think
number 2 for you then?
Barbie. Just so I can do the Barbenheimer ticket.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm blanking on what other ones I've seen right now.
Pull it up.
Yeah, I do think Robert Downey Jr. is my choice for Best Supporting Actor, to the point where Sterling K. Brown was like, he's nominated. He's like, I know I'm going to lose to Robert Downey Jr. He's going to win it. Who are we kidding? It's just an honor to be nominated next to him.
Yeah.
So,
man,
I definitely think this ranks higher than Killers of the Flower Moon for me. Holdovers, like I said, is great, but I don't think it's Best Picture.
Sure.
Because for me to pick to be wowed by something for Best Picture, it takes a Parasite. Parasite.
Yeah. Okay.
Stunned me.
Yeah.
Because there was so much that
really
worked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So that does it for our conversation on Oppenheimer. I think we're going to take a break from the Oscars next week and talk about something else that's current. Ryan, what's your pick for next week?
We're going to be doing Dune.
2021 Dune? 2021 or was it 22?
For your sake, yes.
2022 Dune, right?
2021, yeah.
2021. All right. So yeah, the Timothée Chalamet Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. We're going to be watching that just in time for Dune Part 2.
Just so you guys know, as of right now, I believe it's still on Netflix.
Nice.
Oh, I own it.
Oh.
Wait, which one of us hasn't seen it? Okay. That works.
Yeah.
That checks out. That checks out.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because Devin and I did our own episode on the 1984 one, which we spared you from.
You did.
I gotta be honest, guys. I keep having to tell myself, because I'm like, dude. I keep thinking about the sequel to Dune coming out. I was like, I gotta watch the first one, and in my mind, I'm like, I gotta watch Dune. But then I keep thinking back, Ryan, to our conversation and going, no, Devin, you really like Dune. You actually really like this.
Yeah. This
Watch
is
it.
going. I have high hopes for both of you. when it comes to this one. So
can't wait.
Well, I mean, I've seen it before, so.
Hold on. Are you guys gonna get the popcorn bucket? Are you gonna get the popcorn bucket for the second one?
Yeah.
Okay, I want it so bad, guys.
I will not, because I think I told you guys this on the show. I bought the annual popcorn bucket.
Yeah, you did.
So when I go see Madam Web on Friday, that's what I'm using. So, which sucks is I can't get popcorn buckets anymore. But I can still get the cups, which I use more often, and it's probably a better investment for me anyway.
Fair.
But yeah. So make sure to tune in next week, the same time for our episode on 2021 Dune. You can subscribe to us on YouTube to watch our shows live and all of our older broadcasts. You can also listen to You Have to Watch This podcast on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music. You can also visit our website, rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com, to check out us and all the other wonderful Rum Runners Podcast Network podcasts. To hear my thoughts on Madam Web, go check out Brilliant But Lazy on Victims and Villains. You can also read my full review for Argyle over there. You guys want to plug anything else while I'm plugging my stuff?
No, man, you do you.
All right. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And walk without rhythm, and you won't attract the worm.